The city lights still shimmered on her heels when they sent her there. Just for laughs. Let's see how long the princess lasts on a dusty ranch, her coworkers had snickered. It was supposed to be a cruel joke. A weekend team-building retreat for the new intern who dressed too nice, spoke polite, and carried her world in soft perfumes and neat files. But when Emma stepped off that rattling pickup truck and her heels sank into the mud, she realized this wasn't a retreat. It was punishment. The sky stretched endlessly over fields that smelled like sunburn and sweat. Horses kicked up dust in the corral, and men in worn hats glanced at her with amused disbelief. Her delicate beige coat looked out of place against the rough world of denim and leather. "City girl, huh?" One of them snorted, leaning against the fence. "Don't break a nail now," they laughed, but one man didn't. He stood a few feet away, silent, tall, his hat shadowing his eyes. He didn't laugh. He didn't even look at her twice. He just turned and walked toward the barn. They called him Luke. Luke, the silent cowboy. By the end of the first hour, Emma had spilled a bucket of water, scared a horse, and nearly stepped into manure. The others found it hilarious. She could hear their laughter trail after her as she struggled to keep her balance. She wanted to cry, but she didn't. She de-promised herself long ago, ever since her mother left. And her father's business fell apart, that she wouldn't let anyone see her break. So she clenched her jaw and kept going. "Need help?" The voice came from behind her, deep and calm. Luke stood there, sleeves rolled up, the sun setting fire to the edges of his hair. He didn't smile, just waited for her answer. I can handle it," she said, brushing dirt off her skirt. He nodded once, then took the bucket from her, without another word, and carried it to the stable. She followed, feeling small and strangely safe. Days passed. What was supposed to be a weekend retreat stretched longer. Her boss had forgotten to send a car for her return. Emma learned to feed the horses, to clean stalls, to walk the uneven ground without tripping. Every night her back ached and her hands stung from blisters. And every evening, when the sun bled across the sky, Luke was there quietly fixing a saddle, mending a fence, sometimes offering her coffee without saying a word. He wasn't like the men she knew in the city, loud, polished, always talking. Luke spoke little, but noticed everything. The way she flinched when thunder rolled. The way she stared at the horizon when she thought no one was watching.
Ow.
One night a storm hit. The wind howled like an angry spirit, shaking the barn doors. Emma was alone in the small cabin, terrified, when the power went out. She stumbled outside in the rain, shouting for help. And then she saw him, Luke, running toward her through the downpour, coat flying behind him. Without a word, he wrapped it around her shoulders. It smelled like leather and pine. "Stay close," he said softly, his voice almost lost to the rain. She did. After that night, something shifted between them. Luke taught her how to ride. Not the polished city kind of riding, but the kind that left your soul wide open. At first she was terrified. The horse beneath her seemed too powerful, too alive. But Luke's voice, steady, patient, guided her. "Breathe. Trust it. Trust yourself." And she did. The laughter of her cruel coworkers became a distant echo. For the first time in years, she laughed for real. Her hair tangled with wind, her boots covered in dust, her heart strangely light. She realized she didn't miss the city at all. One evening, as the sky burned orange, Luke handed her a small wooden box. "Made this," he said simply. Inside was a bracelet carved from old horseshoe metal rough, imperfect, but beautiful. Her eyes stung. "Why would you make this for me?" He looked down, his thumb brushing the brim of his hat. "'Cause you didn't quit when they wanted you to." She swallowed hard. "They sent me here as a joke, Luke." He finally met her gaze, blue eyes steady. "Doesn't matter why you came. What matters is you stayed." The car from the city arrived 2 days later. Her boss called, laughing, saying it was time to come back to real work. But the thought of leaving felt heavier than any saddle. As she packed her things, Luke stood near the barn, silent as ever. "Guess this is goodbye," she said softly. He nodded once. "Guess so." She turned to leave, but then stopped. Her heart twisted. "Luke, if I came back not because I had to, but because I wanted to, would you still be here?" For the first time since she'd met him, Luke smiled. Not the small, polite kind, but a real one that reached his eyes. "I'll be right here," he said, "waiting with your coat." Months later, When the city lights no longer felt like home, Emma returned. This time, she didn't come as a joke. She came because she'd found something real, a peace she'd never known, and a man who spoke more through silence than any words ever could. And when she stepped off that truck again, Luke was there, coat in hand, waiting beneath the wide-open sky. He placed it gently over her shoulders, just like before. Only this time she took his hand and didn't let go. Moral: sometimes life sends you where you don't belong just so you can find where you truly do.